hey, we're going to try something different. No, kind of different. I want to run the NVIDIA AI Workbench in the cloud. I want to do a little benchmark for the Kaggle digits competition thing. I have 2 GPUs at home. I was curious how much faster it'd be on different GPUs in the cloud. Normally, you'd be actually, hey, I got a bunch of tuning to do. I need a bunch of GPUs for a few hours just to try this, or a day, or whatever it is. And it turns out an easy way to do that is actually to use Brev, which is kind of a GPU marketplace. And basically, you decide kind of what GPU you want, how big a machine. You look around to see what you're going to pay, and then you can provision that in that cloud, and they create a tunnel from that machine into their cloud, Brev's cloud, and Brev cloud to you. And that way you can use anybody's cloud to do your LLM training. So in this case, I've currently got one that I did the wrong thing. So when you create these VMs, you can create a container and then basically do like a Jupyter notebook in it. The other option is to create a VM. And so for this NVIDIA AI Workbench, I want to create a VM and then have that VM manage a bunch of Docker containers on that machine, right? So AI Workbench will do that once I get it installed. So what's the kind of process? So we're going to install AI Workbench on my Mac. Done. Oh, you know what? Let's stop that. So you can see here, I have a remote server in my office, my home office, and then I have the local MacBook here. So currently I have 2 locations where I can run NVIDIA AI Workbench. I'm going to add a new one in the cloud. And so we'll basically do this, add a new location. We're going to see if we can get this to work. So well, all it needs is SSH. So what we're going to do is we're going to install Workbench on the Mac. Done. Install the Brev CLI on the Mac. Let's see. Brev. Help. Yep. Brev. LS. This is going to take a minute. I'm going to see if I have any instances running. It should show me one being torn down. This thing's got a little bit of a performance issue, I think. I don't know if it's the, yeah. Oh, see, there we can see that one's deleting, right? So that's not the one I was wanting. Wow, G5 extra large. Oh, with a GPU. Yeah, that thing was running like $1.50 an hour, right? So, and then at Spot, if you can get Spot, it's like half of that. So you can get like 6 GPUs, burn like $20 an hour, whatever it is, right? You can go as big as you want for this thing. I'm just going to do this small because it's a demo, and I only have like $20 in credits left. And you can also cap your spend, which is really nice if you're, like personally experimenting or a small company. So we're going to install the Brev CLI on my Mac. Done. We're going to create a Brev account. Done. I already got that. I need to create a Brev machine in the Brev Dev website. So I have a couple templates already built. So these launchables let you have a template already built. And this like this A6000 Lambda. This is actually on at Lambda Labs, right? But this is a containerized version. I don't want to use that one right now. So I was playing with this AWS one. That one's also a container. I really wanted to use VM mode, and that lets me do whatever I want on the box, right? So in this case, we're going to go, I created this config. Like if you want to see what you can do here, right? You can say new instance, make it in VM mode. Yeah, I want a VM. And then you can like pick how big you want, right? And how much. And it'll give you an idea how much it'll cost on, so like, let me pick like a P4. Well, those are all on GCP. M60. Well, some of these you can find on different clouds, right? So right now, all of these are all each on one cloud. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to launch this instance. So let's view the launchable. We're going to launch this at one of these instances. So we're going to deploy this launchable, and this is going to run me 98 cents an hour. I think it could be less if I get Spot. It's the one thing I can't always tell if I'm going to get Spot or not. Go to the instance page. So we have no container is going to be built. This is also super fast. So let me go to this real quick. We should be able to see this in the Brev command line. So you install Brev CLI. If you're on a Windows machine, it goes. I actually did this on a Mac because it's easier. They do a great job on the Windows machine. I'll do a Windows talk later because you got to use the Linux WSL instances. So this thing's currently deploying, and it's going to have this name, Joe's 14 GCP Spot, right? Because that's what I named it. So we're going to call that here. We're going to call it GCP, I forgot, something, right? What we need is the IP address. These are a global service that gets brought up and down a bunch. You may end up in a different IP. Even if you terminate, stop it and restart it, because you don't know which cloud provider you're using, you may or may not get the same IP address back. The username on all these, I think, is Ubuntu, actually. And we're going to need a key file and a work-based directory. So I'll tell you about this one in a minute. To get this, what we're going to do, we create a Brev account. We create the Brev machine, currently in progress. Then we authenticate to the Brev machine to get SSH credentials, actually to Brev with using CLI, right? We're going to authenticate into Brev using the CLI to generate the SSH credentials. And then we're going to connect to Brev over SSH after authentication, right? And what that'll do, when we got through this authentication, that'll actually give us a PEM file for this, okay? And actually, I can show you where that's going to be. That's actually going to be this PEM file here, because once that's your credentials, will get you into anything you own in that environment, right, as your user ID. So the only thing we need left now is the IP address. So, and because that thing moves, what we're going to do is we're going to authenticate into Brev. That's not connecting to the machine. Then we connect to the machine. Then we can look at the SSH config and find the IP address, and we'll put the IP address in here. So, and we're at install, we're at connect to Brev over SSH. So let's see where this machine is at. It is running. Woohoo, woohoo. Okay, so let's see. Let's do this again. Yay, running. Oh, I thought that said ketamine. That was weird. Okay, so we're going to try and see if we can get onto this GCP spot machine. We'll do Brev shell. Boom. So this takes a minute because it's going to open up a tunnel. So if we go back to the flow chart while that thing's connecting, I gotta connect to we need to connect to the Brev over SSH, and then we need to install the Workbench server over SSH, right? So that's the next thing to do. Let's look at the terminal. And we're on. So we're actually Ubuntu on Joe's spot machine, which is out there, and I don't know, uname -a. Yep, it's a machine. Okay. So now, if where are we? We're in home Ubuntu, right? So we just need to install the server side of NVIDIA AI Workbench. And I don't remember how to do that. So I'm going to pause this. No, I'm not, because that weirds out my Mac when I do that. So let me look at this. I need install NVIDIA AI Workbench on Linux, right? So all we're going to do is install Ubuntu remotely. So and this only works on Ubuntu. So, well, I mean, it's the only thing they support automagically. So all I'm going to do is copy a script from another screen you can't see. I'm going to put it in this terminal window. This is uname -a. I don't know which version this is. So we're going to click a paste here somewhere. So this command will install the CLI. Oh no, that didn't work. Oh, required. I had to find a provider that had the right version of Ubuntu running so I could install the AI Workbench server on it, and it had the right GPU drivers and blah, blah, blah. And so I actually ended up going out and picking up this Lambda Labs. In this case, it's a RTX 6000, and it's pretty cheap, 60 cents an hour. I couldn't get spot on it, but at this price, I'm not sure I really care. So this VM is actually running, right? If I go back to the console and I look just at the instances, I had a couple failures while I was playing around with this, looking for somebody that had the right version. So now that I have a running instance, I can do what do you call it? Brev ls, right? We can see that this one's actually running, and now I can shell into that. So now when I go shell into this, I'll actually be on this VM. I just need to install the NVIDIA AI Workbench server on that, and then my local UI will connect to that and open projects and run them and make everything work, including hopefully the Jupyter notebook. I guess we'll see. It's got to get all the tunneling right. Okay, there we go. Yay. All right, so that works pretty well. And so now let's see. I'll just install the CLI. I'm sorry, install the remote server. We're going to accept the license. And Docker's already installed, so we're going to use it, which is cool because it's on a server. So now it's going to update, and it's basically, this is the install to make sure all the right NVIDIA goodness is installed and get. So it's going to install that. The other thing I probably want to do here, oh, it's so close, is if I look at my other terminal window, so this is actually done. All right, so now in theory I should be able to connect to this, and the question is how. I'm sitting here on my server, my Mac, and what I can do is I can look in the ls-a, ls.brev. Oh, there it is. I want home.brev/brev.pm, and I need, which I showed you before, I actually have that right here. And what I need to make work is I need to know the IP address because there's no host name for these dynamically allocated blah, blah, blahs. And so what I'm going to do is cat.brev. Okay. And then I got this guy here, which is the IP address. And I could verify this by SSHing to that IP address. I do it all the time just to make sure it works. Let's see if this will work. I have no idea. And let's say add location. Oh, and it's got it. So now you can see here, I actually have an RTX 6000 VM Lambda Labs, blah, blah, blah. And if I connect to it, I don't know. I haven't actually done this before. This is the first time connecting to a Lambda Labs instance. So I can clone a project here. So what am I going to do? I'm going to find the project I want, which is the NVIDIA on Git, the kernel. Let me find this competition kernel. That's what I want. So I am going to copy it from a window you can't see because that's what we do when we didn't plan ahead. I'm going to paste it in here. And I'm going to clone this project. And now I've got a project. So to actually get this to, so now it's actually setting up proxies and stuff. I don't know if this part's going to work. Hope so. First time I've ever done it. So the other thing I actually need to do is set some environment variables. So let me do that. And anyway, this has got NVIDIA AI Workbench running. Oh, it's actually building the container. That's what you can't see. So it's got to build an image. You can see this in the bottom now. So it's out building the Workbench container that it's going to spin up. So you can see here, building, please wait. Once this is done building, the reason you can't open Jupyter Lab is once it's done building, this will stay start project, and then we'll see how that goes. So this takes a while it's downloading all the components. I will pause this. No, I won't. So here we are, some indeterminate amount of time later, and the build is done. Like 15 minutes. I don't know, but I had to pay for it. So maybe I should have bought more CPU. I don't know. One downside, Workbench tends to build, assemble the containers that are required. And so you may want to stop your instance rather than terminate. That keeps the disk image. Then you don't have to pay for this each time. You just pay for the storage costs. So that's something to take into account. So I'm running this competition kernel. And I don't know, let's see what happens. So I'm going to start the environment. Oh yeah, I need the source directories. So let's see what the target directory is going to be. So, oh, is it home? Anyway. Wrong shell. So I might not have had to do that. So this is actually home Ubuntu. My bad. So let's try it. There we go. / home. Home. And continue. And we'll try and start the environment. Oh, and I need, you know what? I'll fake this for now. And we'll start. Oh, my bad. I did the wrong thing. I'm going to start the environment. Environment's running, and that was fast. Let's open Jupyter Lab, see what happens. That's not a problem. There's a little error message that happens here. It's now booting all the pieces. And we get this. So this is us actually on board. You know what? Let's just put this in the same tab set. So this is actually, I'm connected. It actually runs a SSH proxy back to across that channel, and then it transits through that. Oh, you can't see this. Localhost. It actually, so this NVIDIA AI workstation here acts as a bridge. And I think it runs traffic proxy X or something. I have to look again. And so this is actually the instance in the cloud. So that was it. We're done. So what we did was we installed AI Workbench on the Mac, installed Brev CLI on the Mac, created the account, created a machine, authenticated into Brev using the SSH credentials, connected to Brev. We authenticated to Brev, and then we connected to Brev, opened a session. I guess I should say open an SSH section. You know, I'll fix that later. And then installed the AI Workbench server on the machine with the command script that we saw. And then we found the Brev IP and the Brev SSH. We connected to AI Workbench via NVIDIA using the Brev PEM key and the IP address, pointing at blah, 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 pointing at the IP address, using IP address and pointing at the blah, blah, blah. And then we're going to open NVIDIA AI Workbench on the Mac to open a remote connection. And that was this thing here, right? That's the remote connection. And then we cloned the Kaggle competition, and then we built the container. And you know what? This is going to get bigger. Built the container and started the environment, right? And then that's pretty much it. The only other thing we did, I guess there's one more, right? What did we do? We opened Jupyter Notebook. Oh, too much. Okay, that's it. Have a great day.